They all laughed when I said I'd be successful one day. Decades later, I'm their boss and they have no idea I'm the mistake they mocked. If you want to keep hearing stories like this, please subscribe. And we'd love it if you drop a quick hello from your city or country. I wasn't supposed to exist. That's what Aunt Regina told me when I was 7, standing in her pristine kitchen in Atlanta, my sneakers scuffing her marble floors. Your mama should have been more careful. You're the reason she never finished college. The words burned into my brain like a brand, each syllable dripping with contempt. My mother, Diane, was 16 when she had me. The family scandal. The cautionary tale whispered at Thanksgiving dinners I wasn't invited to. I grew up in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment on the South Side while my cousins, Tiffany, Marcus, and Brandon, lived in houses with swimming pools and went to private schools. At least my kids won't end up serving fries, Uncle Jerome said once, loud enough for me to hear. I was 12, wearing a uniform from my after-school job at Burger Palace. I needed money for school supplies. They needed their 3rd family vacation that year. Grandma Rose, the family matriarch, made her position crystal clear at her 75th birthday party. Some branches on the family tree just grow crooked, she announced, her eyes landing on me and Mama. The room erupted in laughter. Tiffany, my age exactly, smirked from across the table, her designer dress shimmering under the chandelier. That night, lying on our lumpy couch because Mama took the only bed, I made a promise to myself. I whispered it into the darkness. I'll show them. I'll show every single one of them. I had no idea that promise would take 23 years to fulfill. Or that when it did, the revenge would be sweeter than I ever imagined. Mama worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. Mornings at the diner, afternoons cleaning houses, nights at the hospital as an orderly. I rarely saw her awake. But she left notes, always encouraging, always believing. You're gonna be somebody, Keisha. Don't let them tell you different. I threw myself into school with desperate intensity. While Tiffany posted Instagram photos from Cancun, I studied in the public library until closing. While Marcus bragged about his new BMW at 18, I rode the bus 2 hours each way to my community college classes. Why bother? Aunt Regina asked when she heard I'd gotten a full scholarship to Georgia State. You'll just end up pregnant like your mama. It's in your blood. She said it casually, like commenting on the weather, while I served drinks at Marcus's graduation party. They'd hired Mama's catering company. The only time they acknowledged we existed was when they needed cheap labor. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. I smiled. I served. I remembered. Professor Davis changed everything during my sophomore year. She was a black woman who'd built a tech company from nothing. Intelligence isn't inherited, she told our class. But hunger is earned. And I see hunger in you, Keisha. He became my mentor. Taught me coding. Introduced me to venture capitalists. Believed in me when my own blood wouldn't. When Grandma Rose had her 80th birthday party, I wasn't invited. I was too busy launching my first app, a project management tool for small businesses. It failed spectacularly. I lost everything, including temporarily my hope. Rock bottom was a basement efficiency in East Point, roaches included for $900 a month. I was 24, $20,000 in debt and eating ramen for every meal. Mama had gotten sick, early onset diabetes from stress and skipped meals. Medical bills piled up faster than I could count them. Heard Keisha's little business went belly up. I overheard Uncle Jerome tell someone at the grocery store. I was in the next aisle holding the generic brand cereal I could barely afford. Diane's daughter. You know, the mistake. Tried to act like she was better than us with that college degree. Pride comes before the fall, they say. I stood there, frozen, as his laughter echoed through the store. My hands shook. My vision blurred. But something crystallized in that moment. A cold, hard determination that felt different from anything I'd experienced before. I got a job at a tech startup called Innovate Tech. Entry level. $42,000 a year. I worked 100-hour weeks. I learned everything. I made myself indispensable. When the founders wanted to sell, I pitched them on my vision for expansion instead. They laughed. Just like my family. You're 26, Keisha. You don't have the experience. Neither did you when you started, I replied. But you had investors who believed. I'm asking for the same chance. Something in my eyes must have convinced them. They gave me 6 months to prove myself. I made the company $3 million in new contracts. By 28, I was VP of Operations. By 30, I'd left to start my own firm. I called my company Catalyst Solutions, because I was catalyzing change, burning away the old to create something new. We specialized in corporate restructuring and efficiency optimization. Basically, I helped struggling companies become profitable again. Sometimes that meant layoffs. Sometimes acquisitions. Always transformation. The first 2 years were brutal. I slept 4 hours a night, lived on coffee and determination. Mama worried. Baby, you're working yourself to death. I'm working myself to life, I corrected her. I'd moved her into a decent apartment, got her proper medical care. But I wanted more. I wanted everything they'd said I couldn't have. I hired Jamal, a brilliant CFO who'd been passed over for promotions because of his dreadlocks and tattoos. Then Shanice, a marketing genius who'd been told she was too aggressive at her corporate job. My team was full of hungry outsiders who'd been underestimated. We became a family forged in ambition and vindication. By 32, Catalyst Solutions had 15 major clients and a reputation for turning failing companies around. I drove a Tesla, lived in a high-rise in Buckhead, wore designer suits that cost more than my childhood wardrobe combined. I still hadn't reached out to my family. They didn't reach out either. To them, I was still serving fries somewhere, probably with 3 kids and no future. The assumption suited me fine. I was building something they couldn't see yet. Couldn't understand yet. Wouldn't believe even if they could. The trap was being set. I just needed the right bait. The email came on a Tuesday morning. Urgent consultation needed. Coleman and Associates. I stared at the name, my coffee cup halfway to my lips. Coleman and Associates was Uncle Jerome's commercial real estate firm. The company he'd built on Grandma Rose's inheritance. The one he'd lorded over everyone for 20 years. I pulled up their financials. They were hemorrhaging money. Bad investments in retail spaces right before the pandemic, loans they couldn't service, properties they couldn't sell. They were 6 months from bankruptcy. You okay, boss? Jamal asked, noticing my expression. You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, I said slowly. An opportunity. I explained the connection. His eyes widened, then a smile spread across his face. Oh, this is delicious. What are you thinking? I'm thinking they need help. And Catalyst Solutions provides help. I kept my voice neutral, but my heart was racing. Set up a meeting. Use the standard corporate vetting. Don't mention my involvement yet. I want to see exactly how desperate they are. Shanice did the preliminary call. She reported back that afternoon. They're drowning. Mr. Coleman, sounded stressed. They need a complete restructuring. They're asking for you specifically because you have the best reputation in Atlanta for turnarounds. The irony was exquisite. They needed me. The mistake. The crooked branch. The girl who'd never amount to anything. They needed me and they had no idea who I was. I scheduled the meeting for the following week. That gave me time to prepare. Time to decide exactly how much mercy I planned to show. I walked into Coleman and Associates wearing a black Armani suit and my mother's old gold cross. the only jewelry she'd kept from better days. The receptionist, a young woman named Ashley, looked up with a practiced smile. "Ms. Williams for Mr. Coleman?" "That's right." I kept my voice professionally pleasant. "My married name, Williams. I'd taken my ex-husband's name during our brief marriage 5 years ago and kept it after the divorce. It was common enough that no one would connect me to Diane Porter's daughter. To them, Keisha Porter disappeared into poverty years ago. Uncle Jerome's office was exactly what I expected. Lots of dark wood, expensive artwork, photographs of him with local politicians. He stood when I entered, extending his hand. "Miss Williams, thank you for coming. Your reputation precedes you." He had no idea. None. I shook his hand, noting how his palm was slightly sweaty. Desperation sweat. "Happy to help if I can. Walk me through your current situation." As he explained their financial crisis, I saw Marcus lurking in the doorway. My cousin had grown a beard, put on weight. He worked here now. Uncle Jerome had made him VP of Development despite Marcus having no qualifications beyond being family. "The market shifted," Marcus interrupted. "Nobody could have predicted." "Actually, several analysts predicted exactly this," I said calmly, tapping my tablet. "I'm seeing pattern mismanagement here. Overleveraging. Ignoring market research. These aren't market problems. They're decision-making problems." Uncle Jerome's face reddened. Nobody talked to him like that. But he needed me, so he swallowed it. I spent 2 weeks analyzing every aspect of Coleman and Associates. Every contract, every property, every employee. I found waste everywhere. Marcus's 6-figure salary for 30-hour work weeks. Tiffany on payroll as a consultant despite doing nothing, money hemorrhaging into vanity projects and family luxuries while actual workers got furloughed. The presentation I prepared was surgical. Clinical. Devastating. I scheduled it for their main conference room. The same room where, years ago, I'd served drinks while they mocked my mother's catering business for using plastic utensils instead of real silverware. The whole family attended. Uncle Jerome. Aunt Regina. Marcus. Tiffany. Even Brandon, who'd flown in from Miami where he'd been finding himself on the family dime for 3 years. Grandma Rose sat at the head of the table, 88 now but still sharp-eyed and mean. "Coleman and Associates is failing because of nepotism, financial mismanagement, and refusal to adapt," I began, my voice steady. "You've prioritized family enrichment over business sustainability. The solution requires difficult choices." I pulled up the org chart. First, elimination of redundant positions. That includes VP of Development. I looked at Marcus, whose face went pale. 3 consultant positions, Tiffany's eyes widened. And a full restructuring of executive compensation. "Now wait just a damn minute," Uncle Jerome started. "I'm not finished." My voice cut through the room like ice. "You have 2 options. File for bankruptcy, lose everything, and face lawsuits from investors. Or accept my proposal. Catalyst Solutions acquires 60% controlling interest. I implement full restructuring. You keep your legacy and possibly your dignity." The silence was thunderous. Grandma Rose leaned forward, squinting at me. "You look familiar, girl. Do I know you?" This was the moment. I'd imagined it thousands of times. I'd rehearsed different versions. Dramatic, cold, angry. But standing there, looking at their confused, desperate faces, I felt something unexpected. Pity mixed with my rage. "You should know me, Grandma Rose." Kept my voice level. "You told me I was a crooked branch on the family tree. At your 75th birthday party. I was 12. The color drained from her face. Uncle Jerome made a choking sound. Aunt Regina's hand flew to her mouth. "Keisha. Keisha Porter," I confirmed. "Though it's Keisha Williams now." The mistake. The girl who'd never amount to anything. The one you didn't invite to family gatherings because I might embarrass you in front of your important friends. I paused, letting it sink in. But Keisha. And now you need me to save the company Grandma Rose's money built. The irony is almost poetic. Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You can't. I can. And I will. Or you can refuse my offer and be bankrupt by Christmas. Your choice. I pulled out the contract, set it on the table with a soft thud that echoed like a gunshot. You have 72 hours to decide. Tiffany started crying. Actual tears. Keisha, we were kids. We didn't understand. You were old enough to understand cruelty, I interrupted. Old enough to laugh. Old enough to make me feel worthless. But this isn't about revenge. This is business. They called an emergency family meeting. I wasn't invited, but I didn't need to be. I had sources. Ashley, the receptionist, had a daughter in medical school and was drowning in student loans. I'd quietly paid them off after learning she'd been covering for Marcus's 3-hour lunches for years without credit. Loyalty, I'd learned, was earned through decency, not blood. They're fighting, Ashley texted me. Grandma Rose is saying she'd rather lose everything than let that girl own what's hers. Your uncle is arguing that pride won't pay their debts. I sat in my office looking out over Atlanta's skyline. Mama called. Baby, I heard through the grapevine. Is it true? Are you really taking over Jerome's company? If they're smart enough to accept help, I said. How do you feel about it? She was quiet for a long moment. I feel like you're better than they ever were. Don't let their poison make you cruel, Keisha. You're successful because you're not like them. Remember that. Her words settled something in me. He was right. This wasn't about becoming them. It was about proving I'd always been better. The counteroffer came at hour 71. They'd accept 40% controlling interest instead of 60, and they wanted guaranteed positions for family members. I laughed when I read it. Jamal looked at me questioningly. They still don't get it, I said. They think they have leverage. I typed out my response. Original offer stands. 60%. Full restructuring authority. Take it or leave it. This expires in 1 hour. 37 minutes later, Uncle Jerome's signature appeared on the digital contract. I arrived at Coleman & Associates at 8 a.m. sharp, carrying a box of my personal items for the office that was now legally mine, the corner office Uncle Jerome had occupied for 20 years. Grandma Rose stood in the lobby like a sentinel, her walker planted firmly, her eyes full of venom. You think you've won, she hissed as I approached. You think this makes you somebody. But you'll always be what you were. A mistake that ruined my daughter's life. The old wound should have throbbed. Instead, I felt nothing but clarity. You're right that I'm what I've always been, Grandma Rose. Determined. Capable. Stronger than you ever gave me credit for. And I didn't ruin anyone's life. You did that with your judgment and your cruelty. I walked past her. You're welcome to stay and watch me work, or you can go home. Either way, this company is being saved today. The first all-staff meeting was tense. 43 employees, most of whom had no idea about my connection to the Coleman family, sat in nervous silence. I saw relief on some faces. They'd been worried about layoffs for months. I'm Keisha Williams, new majority owner of this company, I began. Here's what's going to change. We're eliminating positions that don't add value. We're implementing performance-based compensation. We're diversifying our portfolio away from retail toward mixed-use and residential development. And we're doing it in 90 days. I pulled up the new org chart. Marcus's name was gone. So was Tiffany's. Brandon's. What about loyalty? Marcus shouted from the back. Family means nothing to you? Family means everything, I replied. That's why I'm saving the 20 actual employees who depend on this company, instead of protecting 3 people who've treated it like a personal piggy bank. The restructuring was brutal but necessary. I discovered Marcus had approved a $2 million deal with a contractor who was his college roommate, for work that was never completed. Tiffany's consulting had consisted of planning the company Christmas party and updating their Instagram twice a month. Brandon had literally never shown up to the office. He'd been in Miami for 3 years on full salary. I called them each in separately. Marcus first. He swaggered in with false confidence, dropped into the chair across from my desk like we were old friends about to chat. Look, Keisha, I know we had our differences growing up, but we're family. We can work this out. He tried to smile. Maybe I was overpaid, but that's Dad's fault, not mine. You're not really going to fire me, are you? I slid a folder across the desk. You approved fraudulent contracts. You cost this company millions. And you did it because you thought being Jerome Coleman's son made you untouchable. I paused. You're not fired, Marcus. You're being referred to the state attorney general for investigation. There will likely be charges. The blood drained from his face. You can't be serious. It's family money. It's investor money. Employee retirement funds. Client escrow accounts. You stole from real people while playing entrepreneur. I stood. Security will escort you out. Tiffany cried through her entire exit interview. Brandon sent angry texts from Miami. Uncle Jerome aged 10 years in 10 days. Aunt Regina stopped speaking to anyone, even her own children. Grandma Rose had a stroke. Mild but enough to put her in the hospital. I visited. Alone. Grandma Rose looked small in the hospital bed, hooked to machines, her legendary sharpness dulled by medication. She turned her head when I entered and something flickered in her eyes, surprise maybe or fear. I'm not here to gloat, I said, sitting in the chair beside her bed. I'm here because despite everything you're still my grandmother. Don't want your pity, she rasped. Or your charity. Good. Because I'm not offering either. I leaned forward. I want you to understand something, Grandma Rose. All those years you treated me like I was less than, like I was a mistake. You created this. Your cruelty, your dismissal, your contempt. It lit a fire in me that never went out. You meant to break me. Instead you forged me. Her eyes glistened. For the first time in my life I saw something that might have been regret. Your grandfather left us poor, she whispered. I fought for every inch of respect this family had. When Diane got pregnant, it threatened everything. People talked. I was ashamed. So you made a child pay for adult choices, I said quietly. You made me feel worthless to protect your pride. And in doing so you lost something real, a granddaughter who would have loved you if you'd let her. A tear rolled down her weathered cheek. I didn't know how else to be. I know. And I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. But because carrying your hatred was making me like you, and I refuse to be that person. I stood. The company will be fine. Your legacy will be fine. But our relationship, that's dead. You killed it years ago. I walked out and didn't look back. 6 months later, Coleman and Associates, now Coleman Williams Solutions, was profitable. We'd pivoted into affordable housing development, secured government contracts, and built a reputation for ethical business practices. The employees I'd kept were thriving with fair wages and actual leadership. We'd hired 15 new people, all from backgrounds like mine. Overlooked, underestimated, hungry. Mama cried when I bought her a house in Stone Mountain. 3 bedrooms, a garden, a porch where she could sit and breathe after 40 years of running. You did it, baby, she whispered, holding my face in her hands. You did exactly what you said you would. Uncle Jerome sold his mansion, moved into something modest. He worked as a consultant for the company now. No special treatment, earning his salary for the first time in his life. He'd actually become decent at it, humbled by necessity. We weren't friends. We'd never be family in the way that mattered. But we were civil. Marcus went to prison for 18 months for fraud. Tiffany moved to Denver to start fresh, which really meant running from the shame. Brandon finally got a real job at a nonprofit in Texas. The family fractured, scattered, diminished. I felt no joy in their downfall. But I felt no guilt either. The real victory came the day I keynote a conference for young Black entrepreneurs. I looked out at hundreds of faces, kids like I'd been, hungry and doubted and desperate to prove themselves, and I told them the truth. They'll underestimate you. They'll call you names. They'll tell you that you can't, that you shouldn't, that you won't. Let them. Let their doubt fuel you. And then, when you've built something undeniable, something magnificent, something that proves every single one of them wrong, be merciful. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. After, a girl approached me, maybe 13, eyes bright with determination. Ms. Williams, what if they never apologize? What if they never acknowledge they were wrong? I thought of Grandma Rose in that hospital bed. Uncle Jerome's humbled silence. The family that had fractured under the weight of its own cruelty. Then you succeed anyway, I told her, kneeling to meet her eyes. You succeed so thoroughly, so completely, that their acknowledgement becomes irrelevant. You build a life so beautiful that their opinions of you are just noise in the distance, background static you barely hear anymore. I smiled. You make yourself so undeniably somebody that their definition of you doesn't matter. Because you've defined yourself. She hugged me tight. Over her shoulder, I saw Mama watching from across the room, pride radiating from every inch of her being. I'd been called a mistake my entire childhood. And they were right, I was a mistake. Their mistake. They'd underestimated me, dismissed me, tried to erase me. And in doing so, they'd created something they never imagined. A woman who needed nothing from them. Not their approval. Not their apology. Not their love. I'd become exactly what I'd promised in the darkness of that cramped apartment 23 years ago. Somebody. Not despite them and not because of them. Just somebody. Finally, beautifully, completely, myself. I was Keisha Williams. I was the mistake that became the boss. And I was free.